actually.
Is this thing on? Can you hear me now? Are we going? Is this thing on? Test, 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 test. Can you hear me now? As we come to the close of our broadcast day.
Hello, everyone. This is the Hermit Cave, a GGN affiliate. I'm Darko, and today is Wednesday, July 17th, 2013. I have my co-host / guest, Mr. Ben, here. We're going to discuss a couple different issues. First, I'm going to get his take on basically the Trayvon aftermath, the ensuing, well, they want to race riots. They didn't exactly get him, but there's still some stuff going on. How he views it, him being a victim, and how people are still legitimizing the justice system. So without further ado, Ben, what do you think?
Thank you. Well, if there's one piece of propaganda that I've taken away from the news coverage of this story, it's that we have to accept state power, the authority of state power in deciding what justice is. And I've heard from both sides, clearly from both sides. For example, the mother of Trayvon Martin being interviewed by Bill O'Reilly, and they both agreed that whatever the outcome is, both sides of this have to accept the decision. This is what has to be accepted. So the thing is that the black community has, by a large part, has legitimate grievances against the justice system, as does anybody else. It should really be referred to the injustice system. And another aspect of this is that it seems that the media, as a large part, as a whole, is no longer just an agency of disseminating propaganda, but that it's become a moral hazard. In a democracy, something that we're supposed to be, at least in very simple terms, a media reflects the voice of the people, and the voices, the real voices of the people are largely marginalized and are being outright manufactured. There are legitimate grievances here, but once again, the ultimate point of this, I think, is really that we're all supposed to accept state power. We're not supposed to protest any kind of decision that's made, that's officiated. So that seems to be the case.
Okay, I'm going to change gears here, and I'm going to switch to a different subject, which is, to me, pretty aggravating, because I tend to, as far as radio goes, I don't listen to too much of it, but if I do, a lot of times I like to listen to talk radio. I like it to listen to what these pundits are saying, particularly conservatives, and a lot of times you'll hear these Christians, either pastors or broadcasters, come on, and they'll start quoting the Bible, and they'll give you their interpretations, and they'll very unique, that they'll keep talking about the apocalypse and the Antichrist, and how we haven't went up in flames and went to Hades because we are joined at the hip with the Zionist Israel. And to me, it's just unbelievable that they don't see the elephant in the room. So I wanted to get your take on that. But yeah, I did have a few points though. The things that I came up with here. You're talking about people that view Christians, these Zionists. They view Christians as basically inferior, and my opinion of Christian Zionists, well, they're scum. But don't tell them that. We need all the useful idiots we can get right now. So, and he was also present in New York City on 9/11 and London during the 7/7 bombings. So we know how this individual thinks. Also, what I don't understand is that how Christians basically don't understand that Israel was responsible for 9/11, yet they sit there and are willing to take on the whole of Islam, viewing them as basically heathens. Their best buddies are right there, responsible. You had the cheering Israelis with the TV cameras on site, as people witnessed that. The third point that I had here was they're not even the Jews of the Bible. So you're talking about Lucifer, Satan the deceiver, and yet they've been deceived. I don't understand how they don't understand that, they don't see it, that these are not the Jews of the Bible. And lastly, that they're responsible for Jesus' death. So, and that's what I had to say on that point. I wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, this is quite a aggravating subject due to the hypocrisies and the disinformation of it all. Christian Zionism is based largely on an early portion of the Bible in Genesis 12. I'll just read the first 3 verses real quick so that everybody's familiar with it. Most people who are Christians are probably familiar with this segment. This is Genesis 12. Now the Lord has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, from thy kindred, and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee. That's key in verse 3. I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So basically what we have here is the groundwork for modern day Zionism, and the idea that Christians feel the need to unquestioningly support Israel.
And there's actually, I don't know, there's always controlled opposition, right? But there's even groups of Jews that are actually against the state of Israel, establishing the state of Israel. Now, there's like difference between, was it Talmudic Jews and Torah Jews, who have different opinions on actually the creation of the state of Israel. And of course, you have people like the former president of Iran saying, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, that Israel should basically cease to exist or wipe them off the map. Of course, people that was completely misrepresented by Zionist-run media as if they were going to carry out a second Holocaust or something, or drop an atomic bomb on them. Of course, that's used as a pretext to attack them preemptively. A lot I said there, but just to get your take on that.
Yes, actually, on that quote by Ahmadinejad, that was one of the most misrepresented. It wasn't even what he said. That's what should be known. That's not even what he said. What he actually said was that the government of Israel should be wiped from the history of, should be wiped from the pages of history. That's what he actually said. So he was speaking of the government of Israel. And as many people are aware of, it's not. There is no anti-Jew policy that exists in Iran. There's many Jews that live in Iran and are proud of that heritage. But going back to your original question, Jews that are opposed to the state of Israel, this is a question of a state, a centralization of power and violence, and what a state is. And a state is very different from a nation, and these are two things that need to be differentiated. Is that there is a huge difference between a state and a nation. A nation is just a family of people. That's really what a nation comes down to. A state is a centralization of power and violence. And there's many people that, and a state is founded on the idea of loyalty to a state, do not question the power of a state. And this goes all the way into America. But there's many outspoken Jews against the state of Israel, including one such, Dovid Weiss, if I'm saying his name right. And he makes an interesting point from a religious standpoint. And this is strictly from his religious standpoint. I think he's a traditional Orthodox Jew or something along those lines. And he's pointed out that Judaism is not about devotion to a state, it's about devotion and subordination to God, the Father, not subordination to a state. So by having a state, that is circumventing people's subordination to religion, not something that I'm necessarily in favor of, but it is an interesting point and an interesting viewpoint that should be considered. Another interesting subject is the question of whether these Jews are legitimately Jews. Well, something to note is that in, 70 AD, Titus destroyed Jerusalem. This is an important piece of history. He destroyed the temple, he destroyed their priesthood, and he destroyed their genealogy. And it's very important for their priesthood to know the genealogy, because only a certain tribe could, I want to say the tribe of Levi. The point being is that they don't have a legitimate priesthood, and they don't have a legitimate genealogy to be appointing a priesthood. Another interesting subject is the idea of the Abrahamic religions, what I refer to as the Abrahamic religions. Abraham being the father of many nations, as it's written, he fathered and begat Isaac and Jacob and so on, and that was Israel. So Abraham was the father of Israel. He also was the father of Ishmael, who fathered the Muslim people. And Christianity, the third religion, is Abrahamic in origin. Not all the way back to Abraham, but eventually a transmutation of it, you could say. And what's particular about these religions is that they all offer the same control mechanisms on society.
Then today, neo-Nazi musician Vikernes in French terrorist arrest. Through his writings, he promotes what he calls odalism, an ideology based on the idea that white Europeans should readopt, quote, native European values. Includes racism, anti-Semitism, and elements of ethnic European paganism. They put it in quotes because they make it seem like it's a claim as if it did not exist. Tying them to Breivik, right? You know, Breivik, attacks inspired by Serbian nationalists. So this is, of course, Breivik, a Zionist killer patsy. He's not a Christian fundamentalist. He was put there to blame anybody who's resisting this Christian Judeo movement against nationalists as neo-Nazi killers.
Vikernes was a leading member of Norwegian black metal subculture who was responsible for church burnings back in the early 1990s, which was likely a response to having Christianity forced on them for so many hundreds of years. The last 800 years of the Christianization of Scandinavia, spearheaded by Canute and Harold, has destroyed their traditional way of life.
And and they've been fighting it for the last 800 years. Thank you.